Hey guys, before we get into the video, I just wanted to remind you that I have a Twitter account over at Carthu's Dojo. Head over there, follow me, send a tweet at me, and I'll reply right away, and we can have a cool discussion about Dragon Ball. If you want to have a voice chat discussion, check out the Discord. The link's in the description. You get invited right away. As long as you behave yourself somewhat, you can stay around. Alright, now, video intro. Hello everyone, I'm Carthu and welcome back to the dojo. Today, I wanted to discuss the Dragon Ball Super movie news that we got a little while ago. Now, I didn't talk about this right away because I wanted to think it over, make sure that I understood it correctly, and just sort of gather my thoughts, jumping on and just giving you topics, giving you news or story bits. That's not very interesting to me. What I'm more interested in is speculation, determining what could potentially happen, and coming to our own conclusions using the little bits that we receive in the news. So first off, the news is that there was an interview with the director of the Dragon Ball Super movie, and in that interview, we found out that the CGI moments, will take place in another dimension. He even goes as far as to say that the only way it could be portrayed is using CGI. There was never a chance this could be hand-drawn. But this director does have a history really liking CGI in the 2D animated movie space, so that may or may not be 100% true. But assuming it is, assuming he has no reason to lie to us, instead of just saying, I like CGI and I think it could be very beneficial to the movie, instead of him not saying that and saying this, let's just, again, assume that the truth is what he says and it was necessary. Now, in all the trailers we see with the CGI, I'll throw up a screenshot right now, there are backgrounds that don't look that spectacular. He said these places don't exist in reality, so what's going on here? Well, these backgrounds are actually the ones from Resurrection F. These are not new backgrounds for this movie, they are just simply used in the trailer, which I think is silly, because it really doesn't portray the movie, but to each his own. That is not my decision. Now, knowing that this is not what the dimension actually looks like, and that we're getting something completely different, well, what does this mean for the sake of the movie? Well, in my opinion, it can mean a couple of things. One, it's to slow down how much time the fight actually takes, or this movie actually takes. By moving us to another dimension, we have a room of spirit and time effect, where it's going to be a lot slower on the outside than it is on the inside, and we have a big plot point happen that takes the span of a bit of time. Now, Dragon Ball movies tend to not take more than a couple of days, especially the modern ones, so perhaps that's not the case, but moving on from that, could this be our first glimpse at Dragon Ball trying to just show us flat out dimensional tearing? Can Goku and Brody potentially be in the fourth dimension, a four-dimensional dimension? Literally adding a dimension to the universe, and that's why they need the CGI to portray it. Now, realistically, we have no idea what a 4D universe would look like. It'd be something incomprehensible to us in reality, but in fiction, there are many ways that people portray it, and other higher dimensions as well. I'm not saying that this is definite, but if it is the case that Broly and Goku are fighting in this fourth dimension, four spatial dimensions, by the way, this would be our first concrete piece of evidence that Toei and Toriyama potentially understand dimensional tearing and use it in their thoughts when writing the series, which would be a great bit of knowledge to have just to help us out further along the line of power scaling. Now, do I think this is truly what's going to happen? Probably not, but it does seem to make the most sense because they've drawn other dimensions before, so why is this all of a sudden one that can't be drawn? Is it all of a sudden too complex for your background artists to do? I don't quite understand where the sentiment of this is something that has to be done in CG comes from, unless you have something like the fourth dimension, in which case the CG actually makes sense and could be recognizable as CG to us and be a higher dimension to them, if that makes sense. Because if you think about it, those 3D models are something that are in a higher plane than the 2D art they're used to, the 2D art dimension that the Dragon Ball world lives in. So using 3D models to portray something as a higher dimension in a 2D universe, well, that just makes sense. And to the Dragon Ball characters, by the way, this would mean the 3D universe becoming 4D, but the way they portray it to us is show the 2D medium transition to a 3D medium, if that makes any sense to you guys. Basically, it's the adding one effect. And that could mean that they want us to notice when the CG takes place, if this is the case. Now, looking back to One Piece Film Z, who had the same director, Nagamine, well, it does seem like the CG can be seamless. And it does seem like a good CG director may also be required for that. Now, this is the same CG director from Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, which I know a lot of people probably have low expectations about, but I think under the right overall director of the movie, this could actually be something good. And I think with the 3D modeling getting better and better, and then looking to fighters to try and emphasize that anime style that comes through in those 3D models, well, I think they have a lot of potential there to make something that is fairly seamless and really just speaks to the movie itself, while giving us enough of a deviation to emphasize that dimensional quality that I was mentioning earlier, where they want to shift the dimension up. Now again, this is not the only way. They could also do a weird spatial distortion dimension, where things are sort of like if you go to Pokemon Platinum specifically, you have the reverse world, which has weird laws of physics that defy the expectations in the regular world. It is literally a parallel universe to the main universe, but it is something that has different laws of physics applied to it and potentially laws of time. So imagine something like that, where the laws of physics really do defy all expectation and just aren't the same. It would create a more interesting fight if they had to fight under those circumstances, and potentially may even give Goku the edge due to his experiences in both, like I said, the Time Chamber and Whis' staff, which has been shown to have some different properties than a regular dimension. Goku even states it's very similar to a different dimension. Now, I haven't checked out anyone else's video on this topic. I find it interesting in its early stages, but I do think that we need to wait for some more stuff to develop over time before we can come to final conclusions about the topic. Sure, I could sit here and speculate for hours that this is the Hello Kitty dimension, or the, anime war by Mastar dimension, or anything of that sort. But really, all I'd be going off of is one line from one interview and using it to fit my agenda. My two opinions on the subject and where it could potentially lead are not concrete by any means, and I don't want you to take them as such. I want you to understand that these are ideas, and I'm not saying anything is definitive. This is just me speculating, and something I really haven't done in a while is have harsh speculations that really lead to something, potentially changing the series fabric and overall tone for the future of how the series can be written. Hoping it doesn't come off as too pretentious. I of course had that famous theory about the Grand Priest and his plan that never came through to fruition, but, can't win them all. Anyway guys, I'll leave you at that. Leave your opinions, counterpoints, and more importantly, your ideas about this dimension in the comments down below. Is it a time dimension, just like the room Spirit in Time? Is it a spatial dimension, maybe the fourth dimension itself finally being introduced into Dragon Ball? Or is it something that I haven't even thought about or mentioned in this video? Please make sure you comment on this one. This is one that I want a lot of discussion on, especially in the Discord too, if you are there and you want to discuss it with me or have your own ideas. Please, I'm free to listen to all ideas. I'm really interested in this topic. Subscribe if you want more anime videos, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I do anything on this website. If you want to really support me, you could check out the Patreon. But for now, guys, video outro.